Hello, and welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Kilshire, and I am your worship associate for today. I am joined by Reverend Sian Wiltshire, our minister. I assume most of you have heard of her. Our Steve Mahiro and Susan Shaw, our directors of music ministries, and Danielle Lewis, our director of religious education for children and youth. We all welcome you this morning. Danielle, are you?
I will go back.
Okay, all right, she hasn't changed her mind. So a special welcome to visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope you will find it here. We are a community of friends, music, learning, and love. All are welcome. We need not think alike to love alike. The spirit of building this community, let's recognize the many volunteers who have helped to put this service together today. Thank you. Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. Good morning, Zoomers. As we worship today, we want to acknowledge that this property rests on the ancestral homelands of the Ahachiman and Tongva people. We work to heal the harm done to them many years ago by nurturing responsible stewardship and working for justice. This morning, Reverend Sian will be speaking about the conceptual relation between humans and nature. We begin with the lighting of our chalice. And as we light the chalice, let us say our unison affirmation together.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to see truth in love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening song.
Mother Earth, beloved God and living treasure underfoot, all our days we round our being, sage and thistle, grass and root, herbs to heal us, plants to feed us, land to till and tend and plow. With the pendant deep as midnight north, we ask you be here now.
Brother, ere your inspiration holds together all that lives, as we breathe, our minds see clearly, leading us to love and give. Raging whirlwind, whispered breezes, violent gale and gentle cloud. With a blade as sharp as morning east, we ask you be here now.
Brother fire, great transformer, wear the passion of the sun. In our hearts your warmth revives us, cooks our food and heats our homes. Flaming candle blood within us, blazing deserts when to grow. With the one directing power south, we ask you be here now.
Sister water ever flowing, ocean, river, pond and rain, drink we now and quench our thirsting, cleanse as we begin again. Mist and ice, a host of changes, all that courage will allow. With the cup, the holy chalice, west we ask you be here now. Lover, spirit, intuition, in the center of our souls. In our love we find relation, all connected we are whole. Timeless mystery, quiet conscience, deepest values, voice inside. With the drum and with the cauldron, this we ask you be our guide.
Well, if you weren't aware, March is Women's History Month. And this morning we're going to spend our time together, maybe learning a little bit about the wisdom that women have always carried about this earth. Not as a footnote to history, but as the center of it. I want to begin this morning with an amazing poet who spent her life paying attention to the natural world with more love and precision than almost anyone who has ever lived. If the Unitarian Universalists had a saint, it would be Saint Mary Oliver. She wrote this: "When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, especially the beech and the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, 'Stay a while.' The light flows through their branches, and they call again, 'It's simple,' they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine."
I will tread lightly, 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 lightly.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Well, in our time for all ages this morning, I want to tell you a true story, and it takes place in a country called Kenya. How many people here know where Kenya is? All right. Well, I certainly hope that all those were adult hands, kids' hands. If you guys know where Africa is, Kenya is in East Africa, and it's a land that is red. It has a really red soil, and it's rich, and the hills just roll green all the way to the horizon. And I want to tell you a story about this woman here. Her name is Wangari Maathai. When she was a little girl growing up in Kenya, she loved to play near a stream close to her home. The water was clear and cold, and it was full of life. And she liked to pick up the little eggs of the frogs and the tadpoles and things like that. Every time they slipped through her fingers underneath them, they drift away. And she loved that stream. And she loved animals too. And she loved the big fig tree that shaded that stream. She loved the way the light came through the leaves, and she loved the sound of the water over the stones. She just loved that stream. So Wangari, when she grew up, she knew she loved the earth and she wanted to give back to it. So when she grew up, she studied really hard. She went to an American university, and she came back to Kenya with a doctorate degree in 1971. It was actually in animal anatomy. She was the first woman in all of East and Central Africa to earn a doctorate degree. She was brilliant, she was proud, and then she was heartbroken. Because when she came home, the Kenya she remembered was disappearing. The forest had been cut down by colonial powers, by corporations, by a government that saw trees as just something in the way. The rivers were turning brown with mud. The birds were gone. Animals that had lived in these forests for thousands of years had nowhere left to go. And the stream she loved as a child, that beautiful stream, it was all dried up, gone. Now the women of her village walked for hours. Can you imagine walking for hours just to find some firewood for their home so they could cook their food? The soil without the tree roots to hold it together was washing away in the rain. Children were going hungry because the land couldn't grow food the way it used to. Wangari looked at all this and she thought, man, what can I do? She wasn't a politician. She didn't have an army. She didn't have billions of dollars. But what she had were her hands. And she had an idea. She went to the women of her community, ordinary women, working women, women who were exhausted and stretched thin, and she said, let's plant trees. Now, some people just laughed at her, right? Big, important people, government officials, even some of the foresters, they said, well, you need a diploma to plant a tree. No, you don't, she said. And she got down on her knees in the red Kenyan soil, and she dug a small hole with her hands. She placed a seedling in it, covered the roots gently, and gave it water. One tree. Then she stood up and she showed the women watching how to do the same thing. One tree, and then another, and then another. The women planted in their villages. They taught their daughters. Daughters taught their friends. The idea spread from community to community across Kenya, and then across Africa, and then across the world. Wangari called it the Green Belt Movement. Can you guess how many trees they planted? How many? A million? Huh? 10 million. 1.5 million. They planted 50 million trees. And that is just in Kenya alone. 50 million trees, planted mostly by women and girls, one at a time. And then, of course, you know what happened, right? The rivers started to run clear again. The soil stopped washing away. The birds came back. Children had food. And then something else really remarkable happened too, something that Wangari actually hadn't quite expected. When the women started planting trees together, they started talking, chatting with each other about their lives, about what was fair and what wasn't, and about who had power and who didn't, about what kind of country they wanted their children to grow up in. Planting trees, it turns out, was also about planting democracy. Yeah, it kind of got her into trouble, right? The government didn't like what she was saying. She was arrested. She was called names like, you crazy woman, right? And people told her, don't do this. You're going to be killed. And she said, no, the earth needs us and we need each other. And she was right. And that's why in 2004, Wangari Maathai became the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. It was all because she combined democracy, human rights, and environmental sustainability. When you asked Wangari, she might have put it like this: when we plant trees, we plant the seeds of peace and the seeds of hope. She believed, and actually she knew in her bones, that taking care of the earth and taking care of each other were the same thing, that you couldn't do one without the other. She believed that every single person, no matter how young, no matter how small, no matter how ordinary they felt on any given Tuesday, every single person could do something. She died about 15 years ago, but her legacy lives on. Her daughter has continued this. But the trees she planted are growing, the movement is starting, and she's still moving. The women she taught are still teaching. And I like to think that somewhere in Kenya, or somewhere even across Africa, right now is a girl kneeling down, digging a small hole with her hands, placing a seedling in the ground and giving it water. One tree, then another, and then another. Planting peace, planting democracy, planting trees. And that is our story for today. Let's sing our children and teachers out to their religious education or religious exploration classes as Danielle lights the children's chalice. So I've got a little meditation for you this morning. I want to invite you into just a time of kind of stillness. So if you're comfortable, you might close your eyes or just soften your gaze toward the floor. Let your hands rest, drop your shoulders. Take one wonderful deep breath. Let that go. I want to invite you to a time of memory, to travel into your memory. Think of a place in the natural world that you love. A place that has really mattered to you. Maybe it's held you, it's restored you, it's taken your breath away. It might be a place you just visited once and never forgot. Maybe it's some place you return to again and again. And maybe it's a place from your childhood that lives in your body. Whatever it is, go there. And notice what you feel when you arrive. both in your body and in your heart? Do you feel wind or sun or smell the sea air, the green grass? And how did it make you feel inside? Notice what's happening to your chest, your breathing, the quality of your attention. This place knows you, maybe in some way that's hard to explain. It's part of who you are. Now, I want you to stay gentle with yourself here. I want to imagine that you go back to that place and something is wrong. The place you love is just devastated. The trees are cut down, the ocean is choked with garbage, the river run dry, skyscrapers, maybe they dot the landscape. Stay with whatever you're feeling for just a moment. Don't push it away or intellectualize it. It's important. It's telling you something very true. That feeling that I feel when I think of Scotland that way, that grief, that protectiveness, that no, not there, that fierce and tender love, that is exactly how women like Wangari, Maathai, and men across history, across culture, across traditions have felt. And some of them did something about it. As you come back here into this space and into this room, let us sing to our Mother Earth to honor the beauty she has given us. Please join Amy in singing as you are able.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
As some of you know, I was gone the last 2 Sundays because I was in Scotland. And most of you know how much I love that land. This time I went to the Isle of Skye, which is a tremendously beautiful place. And one of the things that makes it so beautiful is that there's no billboards. There are no skyscrapers there. You know, and when I went, it wasn't like a climate conference. It wasn't just for sightseeing. I was on an art program with a small group of women from all over the world. And every day we went out to paint or sketch in this very ancient and, let's say, moody, as well as gobsmackingly gorgeous landscape. And I noticed 2 things when I was there. First of all, it rained a lot. It's Scotland, right? It's in the job description. The wind would come off the hills, it was cold and sideways, and we would wear double hats, and sometimes it would come in hail. There were days when it was freezing and we couldn't predict the weather from one moment to the next. But the second thing that I noticed was that not one of these women that I was with complained about getting out in this crazy weather. They wanted to be in it. They didn't care about the cold in their fingers because they wanted to see the light moving across the water like it's something alive. They wanted to see the leaves blowing in the wind like flags and the mountains glimmering through the clouds with just that touch of sunlight. They wanted to see it with their own eyes and paint it with their own hands. Their dedication was kind of awe-inspiring to me. And I watched these women from different countries with different languages, different faiths, different everything, all doing the same thing, turning their faces toward the earth and paying attention. I remember thinking, this is love. This is love too. Love not as something that is sentimental or nostalgia. I mean something sort of more stubborn than that refusal to look away, the willingness to stand in the rain because the world, the earth is worth it. Because it is. There is a long tradition, longer than Christianity, and back to the beginning of Western philosophy even, of women and the earth being named in the same breath. Now, this all comes down to an eco-feminist theology, and it's called the logic of domination. And it's worth understanding a little bit. Here's how the argument goes, okay? Western philosophy, beginning in ancient Greece, built its entire worldview on a series of paired opposites, okay? Thank you, Plato. This all comes from Plato. So you had the mind, the body, reason and emotion, culture, nature, civilized, primitive, spirit, and flesh, right? And in every single one of these pairs, the first term was considered not just different from the second, but superior to it. Higher, more evolved, more worthy of respect, protection, and power. And these pairs were never just abstract categories. They were mapped onto human beings. The mapping was horribly consistent, brutally, deliberately consistent. Men were associated with the superior, mind, reason, culture, spirit, civilization. Women, along with indigenous peoples, enslaved peoples, and anyone else the dominant culture wished to subordinate, were placed on the inferior side. Body, emotion, flesh, nature, the primitive. And once that mapping was kind of in place, this terrible logic followed. If nature exists to serve human civilization, to be cleared and farmed and mined and consumed, then the people associated with nature could be treated accordingly. They could be managed, controlled, owned, improved upon, all in the name of progress. And you didn't have to be, consciously cruel to participate in this system. The worldview did the work sort of for you, right? It kind of whispered, these beings are governed more by instinct than reason, more body than mind, more by nature and culture, and nature, as everyone knew, was there to be used. And that's how some of the enlightened philosophers who wrote the most soaring words ever put to paper about human dignity and individual freedom, men like Rousseau and Locke and Jefferson, they could also own enslaved people, exclude women from public life, and dispossess indigenous peoples of their land without experiencing any apparent contradiction. The philosophical framework had already sorted people into categories. Rights and dignity were for the culture side of ledger, and management and extraction were for the nature side. It's kind of the same logic every time. Now, what does this have to do with theology and ecology? Everything. When ecofeminists like Sarah McFaig and Rosemary Radford Ruther and other theologians who followed them argued with great care and courage, is that Western Christianity did not challenge the dualistic framework. It did not challenge it. It actually consecrated it. Let me say that again. Western Christianity did not challenge this dualistic framework. It actually consecrated it. A theology that placed God entirely outside and above creation, that theology mapped perfectly on to this same dualism, right? The sacred was up there, the earthly was down here, spiritual was pure, the bodily was suspect. The goal of the faithful life was to rise above the flesh, above nature, above the very earth that gave it birth. When the sacred is defined as transcendence of the natural world, then natural world becomes at best a staging ground for spiritual development, and at worst an obstacle to it. And the people who associated with the natural world, that is women, indigenous peoples, the poor who work the land, become by the same logic the people most in need of elevation, correction, civilization. They are the fallen. Now, Sally McFaig's great theological move back in the 80s, I think it was, 70s or 80s, it was a genuinely radical one, was to turn this entire structure upside down and say, instead, what if the earth is not beneath the sacred? What if the earth is the body of the sacred? What if creation is not something God transcends, but something God inhabits? The very flesh and form of divine love poured out into the world. This picture reminds me of the movie Avatar, right, where the earth there is alive. And that's not a small theological adjustment. Not small at all. It is actually revolutionary. She is upending 2,000 years of biblical dogma. Because if the earth is holy, not metaphorically, but actually materially, bodily holy, and she was a woman of God, then to destroy it is not stewardship gone wrong, it's desecration. And the logic that justified that destruction, the logic that said nature exists to serve the powerful, the bodies matter less than the minds, that the earth is raw material waiting to be improved upon, that logic is not just bad environmental policy, it's bad theology. It always was, whether or not you believe in God. But I want to take a step back because that's not the tradition actually I want to honor today, but it was really important for you to understand the framework of what many eco-theologians today are dealing with and what we are dealing with in our earth as a Western nation. It explains so much about how we approach the world. I want to honor, however, the other current that has always run underneath this logic of domination. The one that we're knowing the earth as kin, as sacred, as ours to protect, gives rise to a particular kind of courage. The tradition of women who love the earth so fiercely they refuse to let it be destroyed without a fight. People like Wangari Maathai. Now, Sally McFaig, the great feminist theologian, spent her career building what she called an ecological theology, a way of seeing the universe as the body of the sacred. And she wrote extensively on the care of the earth as if it were God's body, arguing that when we destroy creation, we're not just making a political mistake, we're committing a spiritual sin. We are harming the holy. For many indigenous peoples, however, this is not a new idea. But she did elevate it. McFaig and others rejected dualistic approaches to viewing the world, body and spirit, nature and civilization in order to affirm their interconnectedness of lives and reject simplistic divisions. she probably would have understood those women and me, maybe, standing there in Scotland, trying not to separate ourselves from the landscape, trying to participate in it, to be close to it, to be changed by it, letting it matter to us. But I also want to say that ecofeminist theology, as important and beautiful as it is, has sometimes been a theology of the relatively comfortable. White women, like me, in rain boots and double hats. Women with leisure to paint, to study, to theorize. And this is exactly where womanist theology steps in. Womanist is different from feminist. It's not to contradict the ecofeminists at all, but to deepen and challenge the ecofeminists. Womanist theology was born from a simple, urgent question. Whose experience counts as the starting point for theology? And the term womanist, by the way, was coined by Alice Walker to describe the particular wisdom and strength of Black women. Womanist theologians insisted that Black women's lives, bodies, and stories and survival were not a footnote to theology, that they are actually theology, right? Next slide. It's not working. All right, so womanist theology asks what does justice, liberation, and the sacred look like when you start from the experience of those who have been most marginalized? It is at its heart a theology of wholeness, not just for Black women, but for everyone. Let me say it again. It asks what justice, liberation, and sacred look like when you start from the experience of those who have been most marginalized. Because here's kind of an uncomfortable truth. Even within feminist theological circles, the people doing most of the theorizing were often people least harmed by the system they were critiquing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? White women naming the connection between the domination of women and the domination of the earth, that is important and necessary work. But it is possible to do that work from a position of relative safety and dismiss the kind of specific, concrete, immediate suffering of the women for whom environmental devastation is not an intellectual problem, but a daily emergency, like those in Wangari Maathai's world, who had to walk hours for firewood. Womanist eco-theology says that climate devastation and oppression are not two separate problems that happen to overlap. They are the same crisis. And if you want to understand the crisis fully, you have to stand where the crisis is worst, right? With women walking miles for water or firewood, with communities living downstream from refineries, with the indigenous water protectors whose lands are the front lines of every pipeline fight, with the people of Iran where water is already running out before the bombs fell, where the war and climate crisis have just become impossible to tell apart. The logic of domination was never just about gender. It sorted the whole world into those who extract and those who are extracted from. And fixing it requires us to see all of that together. And that's a little bit of a harder truth than the one that lets us stand in the rain and call it spiritual. But it's a truer one. Wangari Maathai, she said it plainly. She said, in Kenya, women are the first victims of environmental devastation because they're the ones who walk for hours looking for water, who fetch firewood, who provide food for their families. So eco-justice was not like a theory for Wangari. It was what she saw when she came home from earning her doctorate. The forests gone, the rivers turning brown, the streams she had played in as a child dried up and silent, and the women of her village walking miles for what the earth used to give freely. And so she did something about it. She got down on her knees in that red Kenyan soil and planted a tree. And she taught other women to do the same. And that started simple tree planting campaign that ended up inspiring women to stand up for themselves, freeing them from domineering husbands, village chiefs, and unequal country mindset. And this is why she won the Nobel Peace Prize. She understood in her bones, not just in her head, in her bones, that healing the earth and healing the community are the same thing. As Unitarian Universalists, we name this theology as interdependence, the interdependent web of existence of which we are all a part. And it's also kind of simply how the world works. We are not above nature. We are of it. And what we do to it, we do to ourselves. So what do we do with all of this on a Sunday morning in Costa Mesa where news about the climate is not getting any easier to read? Well, I want to offer 3 things for you. One is pay attention. Not paralyzing doom scrolling, okay? If you can, get off of that. But in the way that we paid attention in Scotland, go outside this week. Let the earth actually touch you, whether it's the Santa Ana winds coming through, the Pacific light, the warm sand of the beach, the waving palm trees. Let that beauty work on you. Pay attention to it. Not as a distraction from the crisis, but as the ground of our resistance. We need to remember what we love about this earth. And the second is to center the most vulnerable. When we talk about climate justice here, we have to ask who is already living the emergency we're only beginning to dread. Climate activism doesn't center those communities, often like communities of color. It isn't wrong that if we don't do that, it's just incomplete. Womanist eco-theology is kind of the corrective. It asks us to widen the lens until everyone is in the frame. And this morning after the service, we have the privilege of hearing from a representative of Earthjustice named Abigail O'Doul, the organization whose entire mission is making sure that the law actually protects the earth and the people who depend upon it. They are the lawyers of the earth. The ones who show up in court on behalf of communities that can't afford to be there themselves. Some people brought lunch for this, by the way, but there's room for more because we're a big tent and there's plenty of room. So if you didn't sign up, that's okay. Just come back here at 12:30. And the third is keep planting your tree. Now, I mean this actually literally and as a metaphor. Do one small thing. Wangari was laughed at when she said women should plant trees, and she told them, you don't need a diploma to plant a tree. And she and the women of the Greenbelt movement planted over 50 million trees, one at a time. And there's something just so deeply stubborn, wonderfully stubborn about that. It refuses despair without pretending the problem is small. It refuses despair without pretending the problem is small. It says the scale of the crisis does not determine the scale of our response. Love responds on the human scale. Love plants the next tree or does the next small thing. You don't have to become a great activist. You don't have to chain yourself to a pipeline, although if you do, go with my blessing. Okay? You just have to sort of let this matter to you in your choices, in your conversations, your votes, your dollars, your attention. You just have to keep loving the earth, even now, and especially now. Because love is the courageous presence in the face of fear. Love is the courageous presence in the face of fear. It is a refusal to give up. And Wangari, she knew this. The women of the Greenbelt movement, they know this now. The eco-feminists and the eco-womanists, they know this. The women who stood with me on that hillside last week, brushes out rain coming in sideways, our little fingers, the tips of our fingers freezing. They knew this. The feminist principle, which belongs to anyone who's willing to embody it, has always understood that we are not separate from this world. We are woven into it, every thread of us. And this warming world, it needs that wisdom now more than ever. It needs people willing to love the earth, not despite the conditions, but in them. So I invite you to go outside this week to feel the ground under your feet. Take off your shoes and curl your toes in the grass or the sand. Feel that ground under your feet and remember whose shoulders you stand on. Wangari's, McFaig's, and the countless women whose name we will never know. And then plant something. One little act, one tree, maybe come to one lecture. One stubborn, beautiful refusal to give up, and that is the work, that is the love. May it be so, blessed be, and amen. Let us sing with Craig our closing song.
We are blessed by every river makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every river feeds our soul, and we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth. We are blessed by every mountain makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every mountain feeds our soul, and we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth. We are blessed by every ocean makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every ocean feeds our soul, and we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth.
Okay, so I want to have a brief aside with the guys out there. You might be thinking, this is chick stuff. If I wanted to hear about Platonic dualism and its relationship to nature, I would have stayed home with the wife. But no, this can be something we do too. I just wanted to emphasize that. Anyway. Anyway, Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing 1/2 of the plate we receive with organizations that share our values. This month, we are sharing the plate with Community Action Partnership. Despite repeated inquiries, they have not clarified their position on Platonic dualism, but they do good work in the community regardless. So there are multiple ways in which you can support the church and Community Action Partnership. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, you can use an app called Venko Mobile. I think that's still up-to-date information. Okay, thank you. If you're a roomer, you can also simply use the basket as it is passed. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website, should you need it. And as always, thank you for your generosity.
You are our sunshine, our only sunshine. Greenhouse gases must go away. We hear your warning about global warming. Tomorrow will be a brighter day. We can no longer just stand by as glaciers melt and species die and disappear. Millions in tears. It is time to clean up our skies. Together, put on the brakes. Turn around before it is too late. No more than 2 Celsius degrees. We can do this if we all believe. You are our sunshine, our only sunshine. Greenhouse gases must go away. We hear your warning about global warming. Tomorrow will be a brighter day. Fire, floods, droughts, hurricanes, energy policies that are insane. We must save our earth in time, not protect the corporate bottom line. All that methane and CO2 can be controlled, it's up to me and you. Raise our voices, we're not alone. This blue sphere is our only home. You are our sunshine, our only sunshine. Greenhouse gases must go away. We hear your warning about global warming. Tomorrow will be a brighter day. A cleaner world within our grasp. Make hydrocarbons a thing of the past. Solar, wind, and hydro too is our future. It's up to me and you. An agreement over in France gives us hope, the world a chance. But we all must get on board, fully implement the Paris Accords. You are our sunshine, our only sunshine. Greenhouse gases must go away. We hear your warning about global warming. Tomorrow will be a brighter day. Will our children say if we do nothing but turn away? For them and us, the future calls. Save our planet for both one and all. Youth of the world, understand. We hold their future in our hands. Now is the time, now is the hour. For together we all have the power. So stand up, take control. It's our world, only one we know. stand together, hand in hand. We can do this, oh yes we can.
You are our sunshine, our only sunshine. Greenhouse gases must go away. We hear your warning, our global warning. Tomorrow will be a brighter day.
Yes, tomorrow
Will be a brighter day.
tomorrow will be a brighter day. Please join in singing We Gather Together, a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts that we share. Gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
So now is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives, and you are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, a visitor, anyone at all. You're welcome to participate in our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. I'd like to invite Lori Kluge up here. She's one of our pastoral care team members, and she will assist in lighting candles. The idea is if you've come here today holding something close to your heart, moments in the last days or weeks or hours, something that struck you at your core, if you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so by coming forward and lighting a candle. If you want to share your joy or sorrow out with the entire community, you can write it on a slip of paper that the ushers have. They can bring that over to a little clipboard where you can fill out this form. And then as you come forward to light your candle, you simply hand this to me and I will read them all out loud. Zoomers, of course, you can write yours in the chat. And when we got done lighting all the candles, I'll read them out loud and Lori will then light a candle for you. Of course, you can simply come forward and light a candle or invite us to light a candle in silence as well. So please come forward, and as music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Please come forward. All right, here in the room we have Dave C. He lit a candle of celebration. He said, for my grandson, Miles Martin Carlson became the third generation to achieve his open water scuba certification last week. Great joy and lots of fun underwater. And Mary Smithberger, I know, speaks for a bunch of us when she lit a candle. She says, grateful to be here with Bonnie Wagner. She's enjoying seeing her friends. It's great to see Bonnie here. Linda C., she lit a candle of remembrance. She says, for her mother, Dorothy, who would have been 119 on March 31st. Happy birthday, Mama. Aww. So Kathleen M., she lit a candle of joy. She said it was so heartening. It was so heartening to see so many fellow UUs at the No Kings protest yesterday. We show up when it matters. Yes. And Peggy H. also lit a candle, she said, of gratitude for all those who participated in No Kings rallies yesterday. Hope that elected officials had to hear the voice of their constituents in their voting decisions over the donor class money they receive. Amen. Brianna M., she lit a candle of hope and overwhelm. She says, I have completed my last required classes on aging and long-term care and human sexuality yesterday and can submit my application to take the licensing exam for the clinical social work license after getting my MSW in 2008. Congratulations. She said, didn't think I would get here, and you did it. All right. And Jeffrey, our wonderful Jeffrey, he lit a candle of joy. He said, because I'm glad to finally have another chemo session finished. Amen. And Kristen M., she lit both a candle of joy and of sorrow. The joy is that she's finally getting to the root causes of her health issues. Yay. And the bummer is that she found out she has to move by the end of April. Boo. And Maureen lit a candle of sorrow. Maureen's big heart. She says she lit a candle of sorrow for the billions of animals who are being unnecessarily exploited and killed for food instead of being treated as holy too. And Brianna and Finn M., they lit a candle of sorrow and of empowerment. They said, for our choices. By 2030, AI use is projected to add 24 to 44 metric tons of carbon dioxide annually, like adding 5 to 10 millions of cars to U.S. roads. That's from a Cornell Chronicle. And Judith S., she lit a candle of sorrow. She says, my older sister Emily has found out that her cancer has returned. She may not make it to her 70th birthday on July 4th. Understanding it, she's not in pain, so we're hopeful that maybe something can happen. And Meg W., she lit a candle. She said, healing thoughts and prayers for all of our new members. Marilyn and I broke, for one of our new members, she said, Marilyn F., who broke her right wrist, has a fracture on her left patella. We missed her at our new member potluck mixer last night. Yeah, please keep Marilyn F. in your hearts. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not Marilyn Friends. Marilyn Friends is right here. Her patella is just fine. Marilyn Formica, I should say the name. All right. And Valerie online, please light a candle for her. She said sorrow and joy. She says, I'm heartbroken over the work of decades and centuries that has been demolished daily in our country. But seeing the many people who both showed up to protest yesterday and the many people expressing support gives me hope. And Lee Marie, she would like a candle lit. She says, thank you for your cards, emails, and texts, thoughts, wishes, and prayers as I made it through my surgery with some detours through ER. Now, several more weeks of healing, appreciating our loving church community. Bless you, Lee Marie. If you could also light a candle, I have sort of a fun announcement to make to you all. Some of you know Wendy Karn, the intern that we had last year and the year before that. She texted me yesterday to say that she has been granted preliminary fellowship as a minister. She wanted to thank the whole congregation, and she has requested to be ordained here. So yeah, that'll be a really fun celebration. For those of you who don't know, preliminary fellowship is basically the rubber stamp by our denomination that says, yes, we recognize you as a minister, so we can ordain her and she can wear one of these. So I'm very excited for her. And she really wanted to express her thanks for this congregation. So let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect with one another. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. Please join Lori in a spirit of prayer or meditation.
Holy ground beneath our feet, sacred breath in our lungs, love that binds the whole living web. We hold this warming world in our hearts today. And for every hand pressed into soil in love, for every tree planted in defiance of despair, for all who work for justice for our earth, give us the courage to keep showing up. Give us the wisdom to center those who are hurting the most. Give us the grace to act at whatever scale we're given, knowing that small acts of love multiplied by us all add up. May we go from this place a little more ready to protect what we love. Amen.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together,
we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you for joining us this morning. If you are a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become part of this beloved community. If you'd like to know more about our church, we invite you to either stop by the welcome table. It's right out those doors. It's the one with the blue tablecloth, but not the one past the coffee, the one before that. Or contact us at hello@ocuc.org. Zoomers are welcome to stay and chat with one another online. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out and we will help you get connected.
And as you can see, we had a hard time fitting all the different ways you can connect onto one slide. There's a lot going on here at this church, which is absolutely wonderful, and also out there in the world. I want to also just really emphasize that today we have Abigail O'Doul. Abigail, if you want to say hello over here. She's going to be talking to us about what Earthjustice does and what we can do. There are 40 people signed up, but there are 64 sandwiches. So if you didn't sign up and you'd like to stay, please feel free to do so. And Zoomers, you can come back at 12:30 when we start. We're going to leave the Zoom open so you can just keep it on and stay if you like to hear the presentation. We'll also be recording it as well. So I just want to point that all out, but I want to invite you all to come to that. It should be really interesting. I want to also mention that I did promise last month that at the last Sunday of every month we were going to have a town hall meeting, but since I've been gone so much this month, I don't have a lot to tell you. So we're not going to do a town hall meeting this evening on Zoom at 7 o'clock. We'll wait until next month. But there's lots of really cool stuff going on behind the scenes, including some mystery shoppers, so be on your best behavior. Just kidding. All right, so there's a work party coming up as well. We've got the Seder. Maureen is putting that together. We've got an Easter egg hunt next Sunday. Easter should be really interesting. You know, for UUs, it always is very interesting. So I want you to all come out for all of that. All right, let me leave you with these words. It's actually a poem called For the Children by Gary Snyder, and he wrote this. He said, "The rising hills, the slopes of statistics, lie before us the steep climb of everything going up and up as we all go down. In the next century, or the one beyond that, they say that there are valleys and pastures where we can meet there in peace if we make it. To climb these coming crests, one word to you and your children, stay together, learn the flowers, and go in light." May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. And let us join in singing our recessional song. This service is over. Let our service continue. Thank you, everyone.